Hi, I'm Daniel Weinswig. I was first introduced to blockchain and Bitcoin and all this cryptocurrency stuff from a dear friend, Rugi Kavamahanga, in 2017. Rugi and I spent most of 2017 and 2018 helping innovators in this space communicate their visions, their solutions to the world. Fast forward 4 years, and so much has changed. These tools have moved from some esoteric corner of the internet to mass adoption, where we're seeing the likes of Tesla, of MicroStrategies, and now federal governments around the world considering adopting these and moving these tools into the mainstream. You see, I'm the son of two hippies, and I say this because social betterment has always been important in how I move through the world. In my study of history, my work as an organizer, and my current work supporting causes that are making the world a more equitable, just, transparent society, I've come to the realization that financial empowerment is really that base layer that will enable so much of the causes, the social betterment that we hold in our dreams. My understanding of this space is growing daily. The blockchain community is innovating at light speed, and through a community of artists, activists, dreamers, coders, computer scientists, we're seeing some amazing innovations coming to fruition. Now, I don't understand a lot of the technicalities of these specific tools, but I've stayed in the conversation because their implications are nothing short of world-altering. One reason why new innovations like the internet, the car, or blockchain don't go from zero to mass adoption overnight is because the computer scientists, the magicians, the wizards who are alchemizing these tools are amazing engineers, not always the best communicators. So I see it as my role in this community to help bridge that gap so that the amazing tools they're creating can be understood and adopted by the 99%, folks like you and I. I don't understand TCP. I don't know what HTTPS stands for. I don't know what an INS is, but I tell you, I use the internet like the best of them. So this course is for the latter. Those who want to benefit from using modern technological tools, but don't quite need to know all the nitty-gritty about how the wires are connected under the hood. There are mountains, tomes of information about blockchains, how they work, all the technical underpinnings that you can research on your own, from the investment implications to the system design implications. What I'm hoping is that this course whets your appetite and gives you enough direction so you can start your own self-guided learning journey with enough information to get you started. Blockchain is the Internet 3.0. Right now it's being hailed as the fourth industrial revolution, and it is on the verge of changing everything about society, just like the first three industrial revolutions have. So the first industrial revolution happened in the late 1700s, early 1800s, and this is when agrarian societies moved from more rural living to urban living, and market economies became more normative. The second industrial revolution came about around 1840, and this was the industrial revolution that we've come to know as the push behind the mechanization and major industries, made possible by steel, electricity, natural gas. The third industrial revolution is that which we've been enjoying the last few decades, the digital revolution, where our communications went from analog and mechanistic to digital. The fourth industrial revolution is what we're on the precipice of right now. And this is where we're connecting all the data that we have developed throughout the last few decades, and we're connecting it in powerful ways to turn that data into knowledge, which will then fuel artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, virtual reality, and a host of unimaginable possibilities that are right around the corner. To fully understand and appreciate the significance of what the fourth industrial revolution is about to bring about, we need to begin with the story of Bitcoin.
The year was 2007, and global markets were beginning to shake and rattle before they rolled. Meanwhile, back in some seemingly esoteric chat room in cypherpunk land, oh, By the way, cypherpunk is the preferred pronoun of those who, in the early 90s as well as today, spend their day solving cryptographic puzzles. Easy way to think about this is Alan Turing is their guru, Steve Wozniak is their Tom Brady. In another day and age, these wonks would have been Egyptologists or linguists, but here we are in the 21st century, they're coders, mathematicians, and computer science sorcerers. In one particularly colorful and engaged chat room, a few gentlemen, including one named Hal Finney and Nick Spazos, initiated by a brilliant and quirky avatar going by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, connected over something that many cypherpunks were working on for decades: a global currency system that wasn't beholden to middlemen, bankers, or politicians. Satoshi's vision was for a peer-to-peer global electronic cash system. He saw what the internet did to communications and media and had a vision to do the same thing to the financial system, to democratize access and use of the foundations of social inequity. Who is Satoshi? No one really knows. Maybe a person, maybe a nom de plume, maybe a group of people, a group of organizations. Well, after presenting the concept in this chat room, Hal, Nick, and a bunch of others volunteered to help clean up Satoshi's code and test it out. Given the chicanery that was going on in Wall Street at the time was of the essence. The concept they were working on had the potential, if enough people used it, to create integrity in global financial systems, reducing the ability for fraudsters to run their circus through their bank operations, fueled by the savings and retirement accounts of the 99%. Fast forward to January 2nd of 2008, and the very first block of the Bitcoin blockchain began. The first entry in it contains no spendable Bitcoins, just a time-stamped article, headline about the bank bailouts from the Times of London. From there, it took Satoshi and his ragtag group of volunteer coders about 6 days to put the finishing touches on the code and mine Block 1. Block 1 contained the first 50 spendable Bitcoins. By January 10th, Hal Finney publicly tweeted that he was running the Bitcoin software as well and was testing the system by sending Bitcoins between the contributors. And the rest? Well, the rest is being written as we speak. Satoshi and company believed that if the system of peer-to-peer global cash was to become to scale, banks' primary value of being trusted institutions, which they perpetually do not earn, might be democratized. The implications of this are not to be understated. In a global economy with high levels of displacement, entire industries are built upon remittance from refugees to their families. Entire business units are dedicated to the transfer of money from one country to a neighboring nation. Entire neighborhoods have been locked in generational poverty by the normalized payday advance lending practices. You see, one of the primary functions a bank plays in the Western economic model is that of guarantor. Banks are the third-party guarantee that gives me confidence that when I write you a check, those numbers will be removed from my column and added to yours. And the IRS needs the banks to help them guarantee that when I claim that check I wrote you was a taxable donation, that it actually was, because you are a 501c3 nonprofit. In 2008, banks got caught with their pants down. Turns out they were not keeping good books and cooking the others. Double spend, also known as rehypothecation, plagued banking practices, and after a government bailout, fee hikes for bank clients and tax breaks for corporations, that seemed to be our government's response. Never mind regulating the practice that led us to where we were. Those practices continue today. So double spend or rehypothecation is the scheme whereby one single dollar or stock or bond is sold and or spent multiple times. Big banks can do this as they have active trading desks that backfill payouts. But when everyone is selling at the same time, well, things crash. Like in 1929, 79, 99, 08, and any minute now. For the United States, banks collectively have about 20% of customer deposits held as cash reserves. What this means is that if 21% of a bank's clients showed up on the same day asking for their money, the bank would be insolvent. In 2008, Satoshi and his chat room friends published a paper that laid out principles of electronic payment system that would eliminate the need for any central authority, governments, banks, while issuing secure, verifiable transactions. In short, the paper described a form of currency that allowed for trustless payments on the web. That is, they require a minimal amount or even no trust between the two parties involved in the transactions. The software these coders spoke of enabled a system whereby two users who didn't know or trust each other could exchange money over the internet the same way that two parties can pass cash back and forth. The system also allowed users to confirm messages, transactions, and data using a tool called public key encryption, which eliminated any need to disclose their specific identities to the parties involved in the transactions or third parties. This paper, known as the Bitcoin White Paper, went cypherpunk viral, and many others began contributing to the code and supporting the creation of a more transparent, secure, and private monetary system. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of people, young and old, Libyan, Lithuanian, and Laotian, found this paper and saw new possibilities. They joined the hordes now contributing to and supporting the peer-to-peer cash network. By 2014, Hal had died of ALS. His body was cryopreserved and is currently being maintained by the Alcor Life Extension Foundation. To this day, nobody knows who, where, or what Satoshi Nakamoto is. Below is his wallet address, or what is speculated to be, but we'll never really know. So that paints a bit of a picture of where Bitcoin came from, but it doesn't quite explain what Bitcoin is. Generally, the term Bitcoin really has two possible interpretations. There's the Bitcoin, the token, which refers to the keys to a unit of the digital currency that the owner of that key owns and can trade. A Bitcoin token is held in a Bitcoin wallet that is identified by a string of numbers and letters, such as 1A1ZP1EP5QGEFI2DMPTFTL5SLMVDVIFNA. And when someone wants to send you a Bitcoin, that person simply sends it to your particular public wallet address, and you will access it via your private keys. That's Bitcoin the token. Then there's Bitcoin the protocol, a distributed ledger that maintains the balances of all token coin transactions that have ever taken place on the Bitcoin blockchain. These ledgers are massive files stored on millions of computers around the world. Each computer works to confirm the transaction, and that computer is called a node. The node that is first to confirm the transaction is rewarded. These rewards are known as mining rewards, and the work of each node to confirm a transaction is mining. Think of mining as payment processing, but instead of handled by a single point of sale system vendor like a Square or Visa, the process is done through a distributed network of millions of computers around the world, verifying each party has the means to transact whatever unit they are sending from point A to point B. You see, the network records each transaction onto these ledgers and then propagates them to all other ledgers on the network. Once all the network agrees that they have recorded all of the information correctly, including additional data added to the transaction, then that data is confirmed and it becomes immutable. The network permanently confirms the transaction in an uneditable ledger. Because each node on the network is owned by a private entity, the entire network is responsible for maintaining the accuracy of the ledger. When you send a Bitcoin or a fraction of a Bitcoin to another person, the entire network, every single node, takes part in confirming that transaction. This system design is known as decentralization. It's one of Bitcoin network's most important characteristics. So, it's decentralized. No single institution controls the Bitcoin network. The protocol is maintained by a group of volunteer coders and run by an open network of dedicated computers around the world. This network strikes the balance of transparency and privacy through the use of cryptography. Each user is identified by an address of his or her wallet, which can be used to track the transactions, but the wallet addresses contain no personally identifiable information, just a random set of alphanumerics that you have the sole key to unlocking and moving around. Since there's no central validator in this network, users do not need to identify themselves when sending a Bitcoin to another. When a sender initiates a transaction, the network checks all previous transactions to confirm the sender has the necessary Bitcoin as well as the authority to send them. Put another way, Bitcoin users theoretically operate in semi-anonymity, and the network is self-policing, ensuring that bad actors cannot be rewarded. Watch the video below to get a good visual of how this works in practice.